honor and expectations, the root of violence and self-destruction, from the creative minds of Adam Briganti and Owen Beesley. Is it like a clicker?
It's right behind you.
All right.
So when we were brainstorming some ideas around honor and like the societal expectations that come with it, some of the things included ideas such as maybe your intelligence. Maybe that is like something to your honor, what it represents.
Maybe it's your physical property.
Maybe it's how you want to be perceived.
Maybe it's your economic status.
And a big one, maybe for me, maybe for you else, is connections. I feel like that's a really big one, being able to talk to people, maybe social media, everything like that, friends.
Yeah, maybe it's your health, or having huge muscles. So what brings you honor in this society? You can write it on your whiteboard. Just like,
Make sure you see their slides are great. Don't miss them. Okay, guys. Right at what brings you honor?
It could be like any of the examples. You can follow some of these.
Close.
Write it. You should write that.
Yeah.
Clothes.
Oh, yeah, close.
Money. Clothes.
Alright. You can put them up if you want. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of intelligence, connections, money,
Successfulness.
But how has society influenced those ideals of honor? I mean,
you got your peers, parents, like how they raise you, like all like some good ideas of that. All right, so now what I would like to bring to attention is what happens when you kind of stem away from this idea of honor and like maybe bring dishonor and whatnot, and that's where we came up, that's where we learned about the word hubris. Now, what is hubris? Well, a good definition for hubris is someone that has the personality of like excessive pride, where it's like becomes dangerous, where they can easily lose their self.
some synonyms that can like bring more clarity to the word hubris is arrogance, vanity, and deceitfulness. Those are all like clear synonyms to it. And everyone's heard the saying, "Don't fly too close to the sun," which is from Icarus, and more on that later.
Alright, yeah, so where did the term hubris come from? Well, it definitely has ancient Greek origin, and it's meant to describe someone who has this dangerous character flaw of like provoking the gods. And then the English would later pick it up as what we know today as someone with arrogance, like cockiness, to the point where it kind of becomes like dishonorable and whatnot. So I found this little drawing here, like know your place, beauty, morals, kind of representing that ancient Greek term for the word hubris.
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone's heard the story before, but they might not know like its name. So the legend of Icarus was like a boy given artificial wings that were made of wax and feathers, and his father always warned him, "Do not fly too close to the sun." And eventually, he doesn't listen to this like caution, and he flies too close, and eventually it leads to him drowning in the ocean because his wings melt.
All right. So now, how does hubris relate to honor? Well, like stated before, like one's honor and like dishonor is kind of the start of one's arrogant and like egotistic lifestyle. And something that we both came up with is honor equals humility and self-awareness. And to kind of like bring this, like to show this, we made it like a quick like mental map and whatnot. So we got at the bottom, you got your reputation, you got your pride, and you got your morals. We believe that these are like the good building blocks that will kind of represent your honor, what makes up your honor. But now it's what you do with that honor, where you can either go down this balanced lifestyle, or you can go down this hubris ideology.
Yeah, so a prime example of a balanced lifestyle is Bob Ross. Everyone loved Bob Ross because he wasn't the best at it, but because he was just like so humble, and like this led to him having a peaceful and prosperous life. But then we have like politicians today that think like they are the best, and the ego that they build kind of leads to like their downfall as a person. And I think this like a famous quote that kind of sums up how honor should be used is
from Spider-Man, the great Stan Lee.
with great
power comes great responsibility. So I thought now, like maybe to connect it to some like famous mediums of art, like two films and one play is Breaking Bad definitely demonstrates a lot of hubris, especially with Bryan Cranston as Heisenberg. We also got the play Macbeth, which I know I studied last year, so I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. And then The Godfather, which we were dressed up as today. Michael Corleone, Tito, and everything like that.
So I think the first thing that comes to mind when I think of hubris is Walter White. At first he's like a humble beginning, and although like he has his problems, he has like a nice wife, he has a good like job, and he has a nice house, like everything you can need. Eventually he gets diagnosed with cancer, and his friends offer him to take a loan, and like interest free, like they would just pay for his cancer treatments. And eventually he like did not take this pity, and like because of his pride, he kind of is forced to sell meth. And yeah, and it's kind of just leads to like a huge rabbit hole of his ego and this like huge drug empire. But I think
this video right here perfectly sums it up. I think, yeah, we had a good thing going. This is in the video right here.
It was perfect, but no, you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego. You just had to be the man. If you'd done your job, known your place, we'd all be fine right now.
Yeah, so the context to this, you know, he starts off just like as a simple cook, maybe a little bit of a crook, but he decides that his pride and ego isn't good enough. So he has to go and he has to like take away like the main guy, and by doing that, it kind of sets up his failure for the rest of the like TV series. And like as Mike Ehrmantraut stated, like your pride, your ego, kind of got the best of him in this situation, which is that example of hubris and that like disconnection from honor.
I think another example of like a man, that like lost everything because of his ego and cultural expectations was Torvald from The Doll's House. So what are some of the characteristics that led to Torvald's downfall? You can write on your whiteboard.
What is the characteristics that led to his downfall? Yeah.
We got misogyny, shallow, overly traditional. I think that's a big one.
Yeah, those are all good ones. So what we said was egotistical, traditional, authoritarian, financially driven, patronizing, superficial, and instead of shallow. And like all these characteristics that Torvald has picked up through like cultural expectations kind of leads to him being like a shell of a man. And eventually when his ego is like challenged through like this loan that Nora takes, he like shows his true colors to Nora. And this eventually leads to her leaving him, and yeah, and he just has nothing after that.
Yeah, we agree with that. Like his hubris, like Torvald's hubris, kind of blinds himself from like Nora's sacrifices that she makes for him. And I feel like this all follows like the societal expectations, cultural expectations of Norway at the time that kind of follows this traditionalist characteristic. So on the topic of societal cultural expectations, again, we bring up Michael Corleone from The Godfather.
At first, he's a war hero, and he tells his girlfriend at the time, like, that's my family, that's not me. He has, like, he wants to draw, like, a fine line between himself and with the mob life. But eventually, once his family is, like, in danger, he picks up the family business to protect his father, and he just, like, becomes the Don eventually and transforms into a ruthless killer because of the society that he was raised in. He couldn't like really escape it. And the quote from The Godfather that I had is, I betrayed my wife, I betrayed myself. I've killed men, and I've ordered men to be killed. No, it's useless. I ordered the death of my brother. He injured me. I killed my mother's son. I killed my father's son. And it kind of just shows that like Michael Corleone's rise as a Don is kind of marks this like the downfall of Michael Corleone's fall as a man.
Is that better? So I guess, again on the topic of societal expectations, we now kind of want to relate it back to the books that we read. And so we thought A Chronicle of a Death Foretold by Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
So what are some of the cultural expectations in Chronicle of the Death Row Told?
That's a good one.
Oh, like, that's
Virgin
good.
wife, yeah. Yeah, marriage, yeah, I like all of them. And that's a lot of what we also said as well.
What did you guys say?
When we follow the
Social hierarchy.
So it should be.
Wait.
Alright. So maybe how did this lead to the violent ending? Well, it's kind of like the idea of like this familiar honor, kind of getting the best of everything, and
Yeah. So in this picture, like you see, like the Ricardo twins are killing Santiago and Nassar, and like no one's doing anything to stop them. And it kind of goes to show that like society has like a way of like showing what's just and unjust. And obviously they think this is like kind of justified. They saw him as a dead man walking before he even like was dead. They didn't do anything to stop him except like a slap on the wrist and like taking their knife. This kind of leads to the violent ending.
so now societal expectations again. So when we're thinking of societal expectations, one of the main like overall things is like maybe in the world. And some things we brainstorm is like gender, which is kind of like gender expectations, maybe even breaking them. I know in today's society that's a big thing. And then cultural practices with religion, with yeah, just like everything that involves your culture, traditions, and whatnot. And then we decided to focus in on Guilford itself. And relating back to on that second slide, we got success, achievement, and appearance, which we believe are like big things, especially in Guilford. Like, and again, influenced by your parents, your teachers, your peers, and the role models you want to be when you're older.
But the one we really wanted to drive home was masculinity and the idea of like culture behind it. So, like the main example of that we thought of for masculinity was in Macbeth, where at the beginning he's like an honorable man. Everyone loves him, and he has like a nice like citizen. I think he was like the Thane of Cawdor at the time, and eventually his wife kind of pressures him into killing King Duncan, and because of the cultural expectations, like she asked him, "Are you a man?"
Hey, and a bold one, that dare look on that, which might appall the devil.
This is the very painting of your fear. Shame itself. Why do you make such faces? When all is done, you look but on a stool. And this kind of goes to show that she's using like the idea of like fear and how like a man is not supposed to be scared of like any challenges, and like because of this makes Macbeth play right into her hand as she rises to power. And like by the end, Macbeth is like Macbeth says in Act 5, Scene 5, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. And by the end, Macbeth is just like sees no point in living anymore. Even though he's like a king, he's won, but like at what cost? So yeah.
Yeah, so like his hubris builds himself up, which is influenced by like these masculinity norms, cultural norms of like being a man, where he rises up, his ego rises, but at the same time he's losing himself as a man, as a person. So then we kind of wanted to relate this back to like a problem we have in like today's society, and that's social media. And so like, why social media? Well, we tend to notice that our online personas and like offline personas tend to be different, because these online personas kind of amplify these ideas of perfection and this fake facade of wanting acceptance and whatnot. So like these norms, expectations, society like kind of influence the ideas in your life on social media. And it's important to keep that in mind, because you don't want to fall down this path of hubris and lose yourself, lose who you're truly meant to be. So like sacrifices authenticity for the quest of external approval, and that's something we got to keep in mind like every day.
So a final thought is, how do we escape this idea of hubrism, and how do we go down like a peaceful life while having honor? And I think a great example of that is Nora in A Doll's House. By the end of the book, she puts her honor aside and like the cultural expectations that a woman is supposed to be in Norway, and like breaks up with Torvald. And because of this, she's able to have like a free life where she gets to do what she wants. And yeah, so she overcomes her oppressor.
Yeah, by like being who she wants to be. She's not constricted by these societal norms. She's Nora. So, a call to action to end this off.
Make sure to spend time to think about how you can be true to yourself instead of like the cultural expectations, as that will bring you like the best honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.